about time. Congratulations. It's a rare moment we get to do this in New York City. It's a rare moment we get to sit up there and look at the New York Mets and say congratulations for exercising your common sense and not looking like a bunch of cheap, irresponsible idiots. It's finally time that we get an opportunity to say something else. The New York Mets have handled their business with Jacob deGrom. And now we can move forward. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do every weekday over the airwaves of ESPN Radio and ESPN News. 250-plus markets across the United States of America. That is the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio, plus ESPN Radio on Sirius XM Channel 80. Also, ESPN Radio simulcast over the live national television airwaves of ESPN News. Number to call up as always is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. The Stephen A. Smith Show is being brought to you by Credit Karma. Get your truly free credit scores and free credit monitoring from Credit Karma today. That's Credit Karma, K-A-R-M-A. Get knowing. Time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. Houston, don't go anywhere. Because trust you me, I will be getting into James Harden. Going up against the Greek freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin tonight in a nationally televised game. Make no mistake about it, I'll definitely be going there. So let's get that out of the way. I'll be touching on that in a minute. I got a lot of things to say about LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers, who have a game tonight against the Washington Wizards. Don't go anywhere for that. Conor McGregor announcing his retirement. I'll get into that. The list goes on and on. But the first order of business is quite obvious. The New York Mets have signed Jacob deGrom, 5-year extension, about $137 million. So because of that, Jacob deGrom, the best pitcher in baseball, some would say, he's not going anywhere. He's going to stay right here. He's going to stay right here, averaging $27.5 million in salary per season. He's not going anywhere. In games that he started last year, the Mets were still 14-18 because they couldn't score any runs. They couldn't take advantage of the 1.70 ERA that he put forth. The fact that he only gave up 10 homers all of last season. Couldn't take advantage of it. Because the Mets just ain't that damn good. Primarily because whether it's Syndergaard, it's Wheeler, or somebody else, or Cespedes, they can't stay healthy. That might have something to do with it. But in the end, what was undeniable is that en route to the National League Cy Young Award, Jacob deGrom was a monster. And when Justin Verlander got his 2-year, $66 million deal, when Chris Sale got a deal averaging about $30 million a year, how in the hell were the Mets procrastinating on paying this man? I went off about it yesterday. And whether it was Van Wagenen or somebody else, or whether it was my man Don Juan LaGreca saying Stephen A. Smith finally made sense about something when it came to my Mets because I was going off on them yesterday, the New York Mets handled their business. And they signed the man they had damn well better had made sure they signed in Jacob deGrom, who, by the way, I desperately wanted to be a New York Yankee. I believe if Jacob deGrom was a New York Yankee, New York Yankees would have won the World Series last year. And I'm still upset that the Yankees' definition of an ace is Luis Severino. I would prefer that it's somebody the quality of Jacob deGrom. But that's just me. It's how I feel. You got Giancarlo Stanton, you got Judge, you got Sanchez, you got Hicks. Gregorius ultimately will come back. You got all of these guys. I guess you should be able to do all right. But as far as I'm concerned, when you're a champion, it's not an accident that the Houston Astros and the Boston Red Sox are the last 2 World Series champions. Look at their pitching. Look at their pitching. Whether it's Sale or Porcello or Wright. In Houston's case, whether it was Keuchel or Verlander or the crew, it didn't matter. The fact is, Bats win you baseball games in a regular season. Pitching wins you games come championship time. That's the reality of the situation. That's how you got to look at it. And I got to say, the Mets finally did something right. Ranked 28th in the majors in bullpen ERA last year. This man is in your rotation. You certainly don't have a bullpen that you can rely upon. I mean, you might have got Edwin Diaz from Seattle. I get all that. But damn it, I ain't so. You lose the Grom, what are you? You lose the Grom, what do you mean? You got to send a message. You can't have the Yankees across town in the Bronx, less than 10 miles away, and you're stinking up the joint in Queens. By the way, my home borough. I might have been born in the Bronx, right by the D train, but I was raised in Hollis, Queens. I was raised 10 minutes from Shea Stadium before that came crashing down, when Flushing Meadow Park was a place to go and picnic. When folks played tennis, this is before the Arthur Ashe Stadium was put up. I religiously drive on the Grand Central Parkway. Damn it, that's where I go and get my White Castle. Right on Queens Boulevard. It's right by there. I don't want the Mets stink. I don't want you better than the Yankees. But I want you relevant. I want you to matter. I don't want to go over near Citi Field to go to the tennis center. I want to have a reason to go to a Mets game. And oh, by the way, I want it in August. I don't want it in April or May when the season's just beginning. And even though you stink, you're still relevant because the season is too early for us to sit up there and completely write you off. I want to go in late in the summer when the games actually matter. Got little kids out there looking at me while I'm doing my radio show. How y'all doing? Stevie A love the kids. He sure does. He sure does. Anyway, back to the business at hand. Congratulations to the Mets for handling their business. I'm very, very proud that they finally did something right with their useless selves. Now, hopefully, this is a sign of things to come in the future and they start getting things right. So they can actually compete for a pulse in New York City instead of being perpetual has-beens. This is the way to go in that direction. I am pleased. Moving on. There's a big-time basketball game tonight. And it's not the game itself that's so big because Milwaukee is the #1 seed in the East, and they're probably going to have that on lockdown. Meanwhile, Houston's the a top 3 seed in the West. They've got 47 wins. Milwaukee has 55 wins. Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek Freak, is a leading candidate for league MVP honors, averaging 27, 8, and 8 a game. Houston, led by James Harden, it's got about 47 wins on the season. James Harden's averaging about 36.5 points per game. There are some people that believe this is a tight race, and I guess they're right. For me, it isn't. I'm not saying that they have no right to feel that way. But for me, it isn't. I want to be very, very clear about what I'm about to say. I think the MVP race has already been decided. Maybe Greek Freak would win, and you want to technically say it's going to be close, fine. I'm just telling you, for my eyes, James Harden is the league MVP. And I'm not talking about James Harden being the MVP from last season and the reigning MVP now. I'm talking about James Harden locking up this 2018-2019 season. James Harden is the league MVP. And I'm going to tell you why I feel this way. Ladies and gentlemen, it ain't easy to average 36.5. Otherwise, anybody would do it. Ladies and gentlemen, not only is James Harden average those points, shooting 45% from the field, shooting better than, 32, 33% from three-point range. Let me tell you something about James Harden. Since he dropped 50, on the Los Angeles Lakers, December 13th, since he dropped 50. James Harden is averaging 40 a game. He is averaging 40 a game. That's what he's doing. The brother is special. He's something to behold. He's averaging 40. He scored over 50 on about 3 or 4 occasions this year. He scored over 40, obviously, numerous times. He has scored over 30 on all other 29 teams in the NBA. That is what James Harden has done. Chris Paul's been hurt, no matter. Clint Capella has been hurt, no matter. Eric Gordon has been hurt, no matter. James Harden has been that kind of brother. He has been nothing short of spectacular, holding it down. This is what he does. This is what he brings to the table. The Greek Freak, Stephen A., why are you not giving him that same level of credit? Why are you not doing that? I'll tell you why he's not doing that. I'll tell you why I'm not doing that. Because the Greek Freak has Mike Budenholzer. The Greek Freak has an exceptional coach who I think is going to be coach of the year and led by his schemes, obviously assisted by the greatness of the Greek Freak because he is great. Milwaukee's number 1 defense in the NBA. You got a top-notch defense. You got personnel to assist along with exceptional coaching. That does it. When I look at Mike D'Antoni, nothing but respect, but let's call it what it is. Mike D'Antoni, you could call him innovative offensively. You could call it all of those things. But here's the reality of the situation. When he was in New York, he gave the ball. When he was in Phoenix, he gave the ball to Steve Nash. When he was in New York, he gave the ball to Jeremy Lin. When Carmelo arrived, he wasn't down with that. Remember Linsanity? When he was in L.A., he had Kobe. And now, what does he have? He's got James Harden. D'Antoni knows a thing or two about offense. He's an innovator. He's a culture changer. He deserves our profound respect. But make no mistake about it, you got to have the weapon to do it. And that is what James Harden is. He's an assassin extraordinaire. And when you take into account the rules changes, the magician of an offensive player that he is, his ability to get to the free throw line more than anybody in the NBA, converting 85% of his free throws, the threes, the twos, the drive to the baskets, the floaters, his ability to create contact, his ball handling skills. What's there to talk about? What's there to talk about? Am I saying that Budenholzer is a better coach than D'Antoni? Yes. That's no disrespect to D'Antoni. I just think Budenholzer is a great coach. I saw the job he did in Atlanta. I'm looking at the job he's doing in Milwaukee. I'm looking at the tree of Greg Popovich, which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, we need to stop ignoring. This isn't Bill Belichick, where you got people that come from the Belichick tree and they get head coaching jobs and don't get it done in the National Football League. This is basketball, and people who have worked under Greg Popovich don't seem to be doing that bad of a job. Budenholzer's been great. Monty Williams, he wasn't shabby. I think he warrants head coach consideration. Now as an assistant in Philadelphia. I look at Sean Marks and the job that he's doing as an executive. That's not to be ignored. I'm looking at R.C. Buford and the job he's doing as an executive. That's blasphemous to ignore the job he's done. He's been great. I think that Budenholzer is so damn good that without him, the Greek Freak would not be an MVP candidate. Not top 2. But I think without Mike D'Antoni, James Harden would have been an MVP candidate. See the difference? I don't care what anybody says. That's just how I feel about it. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Now, as an aside, I want to get into this story about LeBron James. And some way along the way, his peoples are listening to me. I hope they are. Because there's a couple of things that I wanted to get into here. All right? LeBron James will miss the playoffs for the first time in 14 years. This is what LeBron James is going to do. The Los Angeles Lakers are not going to the playoffs. LeBron James got injured. I believe had he not been injured, not only would they have gotten to the playoffs, they would have arrived as a top 4 or 5 seed. And I think they had a legitimate shot of making the conference finals. I really believe that. Because I think in the postseason, LeBron would have done damage. Having said that, didn't happen. Because he got hurt, was out for 18 games. Once he got back after the 18 games, they still didn't look good. His former teammate in Miami, his brother, because they're that tight, Dwayne Wade, did issue this statement about LeBron. He said, LeBron's not a guy that is accustomed to losing and not making the playoffs. Obviously, man, those 18 games that he was out hurt with them, it's kind of a wash. You can't even really talk about him not making the playoffs because of that. They were the 4th seed when he went out. It's unfortunate. Dwayne Wade is absolutely right. And I don't think LeBron James should be judged this year. Contrary, I got to be careful because, I got the people like Jamie Foxx listening and responding to me on Instagram because, my God, I call LeBron out, but I don't call anybody else out. Stephen A., had there been anybody else other than LeBron James, blah, blah, blah. Oh, whatever. LeBron James is complimented and insulated and, dare I say, protected than any superstar I've ever known. I mean, we're damn near close to putting a diaper and a bib on him, for crying out loud. That's how protected LeBron is. I even came to his defense last week when people were getting beside themselves talking all of this nonsense about him. He didn't want to win and all that. Stop. He doesn't deserve that. But I'll tell you what I went off about today. So I don't know whether it was some photo or whatever, but some woman that had worked towards helping LeBron James with his rehabilitation tweeted out before deleting the tweet about working out with him and essentially saying he should have been out for 6 months. I don't have it in front of me, so I'm just paraphrasing. They're essentially saying he should have been out 6 months. Should have been out 6 months. That's what they're trying to say. Here's my point, ladies and gentlemen. Why now? LeBron James got hurt Christmas Day against Golden State. He missed the next 18 games. LeBron James has been back since before the All-Star break. LeBron James has been back for damn near 2 months. Why are we just learning about this now? Now, I want to make sure that everybody is clear with what I'm saying. I want to make sure everybody's clear, so we all understand each other. I don't know what happened. I'm not saying that LeBron or his camp or whatever lying, about anything. I don't know. I'm just giving my humble opinion. Ain't no inside information here. I'm just telling you what I feel. I find it a tad bit odd that now that the Lakers season is officially over, essentially eliminated for the playoffs, that means, and LeBron ain't going to the playoffs, that we hear of this news that he shouldn't have been playing for these months, that he should have sat out. Ladies and gentlemen, this to me is tantamount to LeBron losing in the finals and then, getting swept and then coming to the podium. Remember, he lost game 1 after dropping like 51 and J.R. Smith had the brain freeze. But then after that, lost games 2, 3, and 4. Got swept in the finals. in the finals. And then he showed up to the post game with a cast on, or whatever it was, to show that he had actually gotten hurt since game one. Well, if you didn't show us that you were hurt in game one, why would you feel the need to show it to us once the series was over? In my humble opinion, because we don't want to be, Stephen A. don't feel like being accused of being cruel. I just don't feel like dealing with that today. I just don't feel like dealing with that today. I want to be nice. I want to be nice. Basically, what you're trying to say, in my estimation, is, see, there was a reason, I couldn't do what I normally do, even though you dropped 51. And even though you averaged over 30. Or better yet, it wasn't me. I mean, I did all I could do. These are the kind of things that give fodder to the stories about LeBron James being separate from the team. I didn't say these things. I don't particularly care. What I want is for LeBron to get another superstar, because I think one of the greatest, if not the greatest player in the world, belongs in the postseason. And I want to see this man competing for championships. That's my thing. His personal life is his personal business. I'll never get into that. And even if there was something to get into, I wouldn't get into it. But there isn't, because this man is a role model personified. But damn it, can't we talk basketball? If LeBron drops 50, you can ask him a basketball question and he'll talk about it. If LeBron struggles and looks miserable, well, I'm just trying to be a role model to the kids out there, and I'm just trying to set a shining example. Really? How come we can't just talk basketball? How come we can't talk basketball without it being a federal case that involves some kind of indictment against LeBron James? How come we can't just talk basketball? Why is this news about LeBron James having an injury that should have lasted 6 months and not being able to play? Why is that coming out now? Why? Now? When you officially eliminated from the playoffs. And everybody's talking about how pathetic the Lakers were over this last half of the season. Why now? Why couldn't you just suck up the losing like the rest of your teammates and go away? Why is there some narrative out about how thankful we should be because look at how he played despite his injury? Why is that there now? I had somebody in LeBron's camp called me lame for going off about this. To their defense, however, they thought I was calling them liars and they were offended by that, and I apologize for that. I don't recall doing that, but if I did do that, I didn't mean to do that. I'm not trying. I was just speaking in jest. I'm not calling anybody a liar like that, because it's, it's all people just talking. But I stand by my question. What's the big deal? Why we got to know about all of this now? You get eliminated from the playoffs, everybody else got to suck it up. But whether it's the cast 1 year or now it's some footage of him training, how injured he was and how he shouldn't have been back, how we should be so grateful that he played through the injury. There's always something. There's always something. I'm so happy LeBron James is in Hollywood. I'm so happy he's got his shows. I'm so happy that he wants to be a media mogul. Because he belongs up in here, because no one is more fixated on controlling the narrative than him. No one. If that's an insult, damn it, so be it. I don't think it's a crime to say that. But that's just me. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. You are listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. That was Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. By the way, when you're hiring, you don't want to waste time sorting through dozens of irrelevant resumes, do you? You want an efficient way to get to a short list of qualified candidates. That's why you need Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes. Set up screening questions based on your job requirements, then zero in on qualified candidates using an intuitive online dashboard. Discover why 3 million businesses use Indeed for hiring. Post a job today at Indeed.com/hire. Search for greatness. Search Indeed. Back with your calls and more in a minute.
Craving even more of Stephen A?
Him of all
people. For around-the-clock access to the man,
I'm Stephen A.
You can follow him on Twitter and Instagram at Stephen A. Smith and on Facebook at Stephen A.
Somebody grab me a hot chocolate.
The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And you can always get in touch with the show through the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed.
Stephen A. Smith Show. ESPN Radio, ESPN News is being brought to you by Indeed. Used by over 3 million businesses for hiring. Post a job today at Indeed.com/hire. Plus, ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance, comparing rates to help you save. Call or click today and find out how much Progressive could save you. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. On a different note, before I get to these calls today, Roman Reigns, 3-time WWE champion. He'll be on the show with us in hour number 2. Looking forward to talking to him. Mel Kiper Jr., he's got his mock draft out. Switched it up a little bit. Not really to say switch it up. I mean, things happen, things percolate. He does it like once every 3 weeks to a month. So 3 weeks ago, he had someone different going number 1. But obviously, with the stuff percolating, it doesn't get much better than Mel Kiper. We know this. So he says Kyler Murray, he's going number 1 to the Arizona Cardinals because of Kingsbury. If Kingsbury wasn't the new head coach for the Arizona Cardinals, Kyler Murray would not be going there. But because he is, as a result, he's going to go number 1. My question to Mel Kiper Jr. was, why is Nick Bosa going number 2? Now, let me be very, very clear about what I'm about to say. Nick Bosa can ball. I get that. Nick Bosa is the real deal. I understand it. I'm not questioning his skill set at all. I'm basically questioning the wisdom of taking the defensive end with the number 2 overall pick after what we saw Tom Brady do to his brother in the AFC Divisional Playoff game when the Chargers visited Foxborough. And the reason why is if you go to NFL Films, for example, and you're watching the re-air of the Chargers versus the Patriots, you heard Joey Bosa saying to Tom Brady, could you please stop getting rid of the ball so damn quick? I mean, I'm useless out here, basically, with what he was saying. And I know everybody's not Tom Brady, which Mel Kiper Jr. astutely, reminded me of this morning, breaking it down the way that only he can. My position is simple. I'm not saying that you don't have these stout individuals that deserve to be picked. But to me, even though getting at the quarterback is paramount and pivotal, if you have teams that find the ability to emulate Tom Brady and Bill Belichick's ability to get the ball out of their hands inside of 2.5 to 2 seconds, then how much can a defensive end do for you? And if that's a question mark, why would I take it with the number 2 overall pick? I saw the one, as much as important as it is to get pressure on a quarterback, I'm just of that mindset. Again, I'm not trying to say you don't value him, that you don't understand that he's an elite athlete and he could do some things for you. I'm saying I'm trying to get a quarterback. I'm trying to get a cornerback to shut down one side of the field if I can find an elite cornerback out there. You could talk about getting to the quarterback. I could talk about a wide receiver like DK Metcalf out of Ole Miss, who's predicted to go number 12 to the Packers, according to Mel Kiper Jr.'s mock draft. I'm thinking about all of those things. Again, you got an edge rusher. That's valuable, particularly if you're a dual threat because you can get to the quarterback, plus you're stout against the run. I understand it, but I'm just making the argument that if you are a quarterback, directing an offensive system that enables you to get rid of the football relatively quickly, how valuable are those defensive ends going to be for you? That's my only question mark. I wanted Mel to answer it, and he did. So I totally understand. 888-SAY-ESPN. Let's get to the phones. Let's go to Advon. You're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey, what's going on, Stephen?
Talk to me, man.
I got to let you know you're tripping today.
Go ahead.
I remember you were talking about how James Heron, and I call him James Heron because I've been watching him for a minute. Brother plays no D, so I take the D out of his name.
Okay. I appreciate the explanation because I didn't know what the hell you were talking about, but I understand. Go ahead.
Okay. Now, when you're saying he's a special talent, now I don't understand what classifies as a special talent. Because from what I see, from the games that I watch, the brother travels. Steph Curry tries to do the same.
Stop right there. Stop right there. We're not having that discussion. You're not going to waste time over airwaves on my radio show talking about whether or not he travels. If the referees don't call it, damn it, that's it. The fact of the matter is he's averaging 36 and a half a game. So he ain't traveling all the damn time. Okay? Don't give me that argument. Now, if you want to dissect this game in a different way about something we could actually debate about, that's fine. But what we're not going to do is get into a debate as to whether or not James Harden travels when he's averaging 36 and a half a game. And he's the reigning league MVP. That's just stupid. We're not doing that. So I'm advising you right now to come up with a different argument to make your point, not the part about him traveling.
Okay. Well, I still want to hear kind of what makes a special talent, because what I see is that rules are now.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you
on the free throw line.
Let me ask you a rhetorical question. Do you know anybody else averaging 36 and a half a game?
No.
Do you know anybody that's averaging 40 over the last 45 games or so?
No.
Do you know anybody that gets to the free throw line more than him?
And that's what I wanted to talk about, getting to the free throw line. You're talking about LBJ being the most protected player in the NBA, comparing him to James Harden.
Oh, no. Hold on. Do you think time out. Do you think LeBron James is as skilled and gifted at drawing fouls as James Harden?
Or are you basically saying, can he act as good as James Harden?
Hold on, wait a minute. James Harden looks at the rule book. There are plenty of instances where we look at the rules, for example, and we're disgusted by the officiating emanating down from the league office as it pertains to the calls that they would make. But clearly James Harden knows what the rules are because he utilizes it to his advantage better than anybody.
But that makes him a special talent.
Yes,
then. Is that what you're telling me? You're saying it makes him a special talent?
Yes. Because what part are you not understanding? There are rules that come along with a game. Bill Belichick is considered a genius because of how he uses the rules in the NFL to his advantage better than any other coach. If you know how to use the rules to the game, that matters.
If you're not cheating, you're not trying, right? So
hold on. You implying that James Harden is cheating when he's shooting those threes, or he's dancing around cats, or he's getting into the hole and shooting floaters? That's cheating?
No, that's not cheating. I was referring just from the Bill Belichick statement saying he's a great coach, whatever.
Advon. He's averaging 36 and a half, bro. Not 16. 36. 36 points a game. And you're sitting here talking about him traveling? Man, bye. Call me back tomorrow. Call me back tomorrow. Have a stronger argument. I hope your boys are listening to you. You embarrassed yourself. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Chris, go ahead. You're live.
Hey, to the previous caller about anybody that gets to the line more than James Harden, I would have to say Lou Williams from the Clippers.
That's true. He's up there. He doesn't get to the line officially more, but you know he's not a starter. He's coming off the bench. But Lou Williams is a good choice. He's special as well, no doubt.
But yeah, I wanted to talk about the Lakers head coaching position potentially being open. I was wondering, what did you think about Coach Jay Wright from Villanova coming instead of Jason Kidd or Mark Jackson? Mark Jackson, I don't think would be a good fit because of the way he just alienated the front office in Golden State. I believe that's why he is.
That's exactly why. That's exactly why. He's had some problems getting another job. There's no denying that. But go ahead.
Yeah, that's my spill right there. I'm gonna go ahead and hang up and let you get back to your show.
Well, I would tell you this: you can't. As much as I love Jay Wright, because Jay Wright's a fantastic choice, because I think Jay Wright is a big time coach. I know Villanova got blown out in the NCAA tournament, but damn it, they won a couple of national titles in the previous 3 years. Jay Wright has established that as a national program. He's something special. But I would like to see Jay Wright on the NBA level. I think he's got those kind of skill sets as a coach to be a major player on that level. But I don't think you can ignore Ty Lue, because Ty Lue is a champion. Ty Lue went to 3 straight NBA finals. Ty Lue made adjustments from the regular season to the postseason in terms of his coaching and how to utilize LeBron and the other players in different ways. He is not scared to hold LeBron James accountable. If you recall, he got on LeBron James' face during that Game 7 when they beat Golden State, because as good as LeBron James was playing, Ty Lue said, you need to play better. You're not playing good enough, and you're not playing hard enough. And LeBron was incredibly offended by that. But Ty Lue called him out because he knows what LeBron is capable of and saw that LeBron James wasn't giving it to him. So all of those things are incredibly important. The Damon Jones, who was a shooter and became LeBron's shooting coach and is still his boy to this very day, and the rest of that staff, they all deserve a lot of credit, man. They all do. I like Jason Kidd, and I don't think that Jason Kidd is somebody that should be blackballed from coaching, but I do believe that Jason Kidd is not necessarily the right guy for the Lakers job. I'm saying the Lakers job. I don't know if Jay Kidd is the right guy for that job, but I do think that Jay Kidd should be a coach of the NBA again someday, because I think he got hosed in Milwaukee. But we can't say that because Budenholzer, his successor, is doing such a wonderful job.
His Brooklyn job was pretty bad, though.
Well, it wasn't, no. The first year was kind of good, but he had some of those issues similar to what Mark Jackson had, because Jason Kidd wants control all the time, and that was problematic. And so everything snowballed from there, but it wasn't because of his basketball acumen or lack thereof. It was because of other issues. But I got to get on out of here, man. I appreciate the call. Thank you so much. 888-SAY-ESPN. You're listening live to Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. If you missed any of my opening segment today, go check it out on demand in the Stephen A. Smith podcast. Brought to you by Capital One Saver Card. Earn 4% cash back on dining and entertainment, 2% at grocery stores, and 1% on all other purchases. Hey, what's in your wallet? Also, if you haven't tried the delicious high-quality meat from Butcher Box, guess what? You're going to be blown away. From grass-fed beef to free-range organic chicken to wild-caught sockeye salmon from Bristol Bay, Alaska, Butcher Box has over 20 different cuts of meat to choose from, all raised humanely with no antibiotics or hormones ever. With free shipping, you can get a month's worth of the best tasting meat from Butcher Box for less than $6 a meal. Butcher Box is offering my listeners free ground beef for the life of your subscription and $20 off your first box when you sign up at butcherbox.com/Stephen A. That's butcherbox.com/Stephen A. It's with a PH, not a V. And oh, by the way, if anybody asks you any questions, tell them Stephen A. sent you. Back with your calls and more to close out the hour in a minute.
Brought to you by...
It's an embarrassment to America. What the hell is wrong with y'all? So what? He yelled. Get over it. He's holding them accountable. Something's wrong with this country. Something is wrong with this country. It's becoming a national embarrassment. Some of the stuff that we cause headlines for. It's becoming a national embarrassment. That this man, a coach, has to explain why he yelled. Oh, thank God John Chaney's retired. Thank God John Thompson's or Nolan Richardson's retired. Don't get me started with Bobby Knight, who was a bit excessive, no doubt. Y'all got to be kidding me. Oh, by the way, Roy Williams, did you know that you were committing a crime according to these folks out here? Roy Williams from North Carolina? He yells all the time. Come on! Really? Now it's infiltrating our sports. I mean, why don't you just ask us all to put on diapers? Why don't we just get it over with? John, get rid of your pants. Wear diapers. Put on diapers. That's what you're asking us to do? Just put on diapers now. It's all over. It's all over. Everybody's being pacified. Where's John? Jonathan Winthrop, look at me when I'm talking to you. Where's my bib? Where's my bib? I need a bib. That's the damn world we're living in. He yelled at his player. Didn't put his hands on him, didn't hit him, nothing. He yelled at his player. Bib and diapers. At this rate, that's what we're gonna ask. That's what we're gonna ask these players to wear. It's a damn shame. It really is. It's embarrassing.
The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on The Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, and you can always get in touch with the show through the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed.
Ha-ha! Dooga-dooga-dooga-dooga-dooga-dooga-dooga-doo. Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show. We're coming to you live from the Seaport District at Pier 17, South Street Seaport, being brought to you by Chase. Plus, the NBA is on ESPN Radio. Tune in tonight as Giannis and the Bucks host James Harden and the Houston Rockets. Presented by Indeed. Coverage begins at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on most ESPN radio stations. Hour number 2 up next. More LeBron, more Houston versus Milwaukee, the Greek Freak versus James Harden, and Conor McGregor's retiring. Whatever. We'll talk about that and so much more in a minute. Don't touch that dial. It's Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio and ESPN News. Hour number 2 up next.